start. All right. Basically this is DayZ version 1.04. This is for the council community. So what I'm going to cover right now is loot cycling. So when you're trying to survive in the beginning and you obviously spawn in with minimal things like a flare, rags, one like piece of food, one actually you don't even spawn with a drink now. You have to find a water source as soon as you spawn. One of the perfect places on the map to start in is Cherno. Now, it's got a watering hole. Okay, we just came from there. I'll show you where it's located before I start looting and showing you loot cycling in 1.4. Now, when you're in Cherno, you just kind of want to go up to this. You'll be going in this little town here. There's if you can see it from a distance, there's a watering hole right there on that in my reticle. Okay. Now, remember when you're going to get water, it's 4 big gulps because you double hand sip now with your character in DayZ. Anything more than 4 big gulps, you're definitely going to be puking and getting sick. So you want to basically loot those houses, get some extra food if you find anything, weapons, whatnot, and then hit the watering hole to fill up on your water. Now what I'm going to be approaching here is going to be like Cherno construction, okay? So you'll see the big crane here, obviously the construction site, and then beyond that point, next to the coast, you're going to have what's called the shipping crate area. Now, this is essential when you're first starting off, is to loot, fill up basically your food and water, and try to stay away from any player you see and zombies. It's hard, it sucks, but you gotta do it. So you obviously have these little industrial buildings which will get your building mats in, car parts, you know, uh, weapons, sewing kits, electrical repair kits, stuff like that. This is the important thing. When you're going through shipping crate area in Cherno, you're gonna get things like this, which you're gonna get a marlin bag. The key thing to getting this marlin bag is how you're gonna start to loot cycle. Now, loot cycling for all you old DayZ players is a little bit different compared to now. They're different terms for different times. Loot cycling is not what it used to be back in the day. So when I say that, that means for the current version of DayZ 1.4. Now, in order to loot cycle, what you do is you go through all these shipping crates, alright? Whenever you get an item, you want to take it out, take it away from its spawn point, and you're going to place it down on the ground, okay? What that's going to do is that's going to start the loot timer for the next item coming into that crate, okay? So, you're going to do this through every single crate. And basically, what's going to happen is, once you hit every single crate, and you've emptied out all the loot and you leave out of render range, and that loot timer's up, you can come back and all new loot is going to respawn. So the reason why this is such a good area for it is because obviously look at how many shipping crates we got. This is just the beginning of it on the coast of Cherno. You're going to notice a lot of different types of crates. Some are going to have marlin bags. When you have normal red maroon ones like this, usually weapons or tools spawn in them, along with marlin bags. Some items like clothing as well, but you're gonna see other things when I'm coming up on this different kind of crate up here. Now, what this different crate is a military crate, right? A shipping crate. So, in each of these, now if I can open this one, no, I can't open that one, so we'll go to the next. You're gonna basically see this crate here, and it's gonna have things like ammo, gun parts, anything military based, it'll have smoke grenades, frag grenades, clips for weapons, specific weapons. And once you're done looting all them, you just start the cycle all over again. Now the interesting thing about Cherno is you're hitting so many different like kinds of loot at the same time. You're hitting industrial types of loot inside the industrial building, and then you're hitting up, like the tool loot or the necessity loot inside of the shipping crate area, along with your military loot. So you're going to be hitting up 3 types of loot as you go through the shipping crate area. Now, the interesting thing about these Marlin bags is, while you're doing the loot cycling through each one of these crates, is if you get more than one, you could double carry. So you could fill up a bag and then carry another bag in your hand. And that's great for looting. If you find a shovel, by any chance, you're in like loot heaven. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna loot up, you're gonna fill one Marlin bag up, right? And then all of a sudden, you're gonna take that shovel, boom, you're gonna bury that loot bag where you know you're gonna find it later, and then come back after the loot cycle's up, and get another Marlin bag, and rinse and repeat over and over again. That's good for you, and if you got a squad that you're rolling with, to keep coming back. So if you time it just right, you could have somebody leaving shipping crate area in Cherno, and one person coming back in to see if the respawn are up, and then they get the loot, and again, rinse and repeat. So that's pretty essential in the beginning, is to be able to loot cycle. Make sure you hit up a really good area, and always maximize your carrying. Now, obviously I'm just taking the loot now, and I'm kind of just dumping it on the ground, so do be aware that when people are in your server, when they see you loot cycling like this and they see loot sitting out there like that, they're gonna know you're around. So you gotta kind of play cautious while you're doing it. Now, I mean, obviously, you don't have to like always, be loot cycling, but it's the smartest thing to do inside DayZ right now when it comes to early game. Now, end game, it's going to be a little bit different. You can go to military installations and rob people, and see, look at that guy. Look, he's loot cycling right now. See that? He's hitting up all the crates. It'll be different than end game. Your end game is going to consist of you being geared out of your mind, and then you obviously clapping people to get their loot. Now, it is what it is. It's hard to build up, obviously, over time when you're doing DayZ and you're playing it consistently, because, you're not always going to win every fight. But to get back up on your feet, especially if you're rolling with friends, I would begin to loot cycle and do a lot of looting in Cherno. The great thing is you do have the city of Cherno right outside the industrial portion, so you can go there and loot up some food. So with all these Marlin bags you get, you can definitely stock one full of food, and then another one with ammo, another one with tools, and then you can bury it with a shovel, and then come back to it. Now, what I would do too is, see, look at this. I would take note where you bury those bags. I'd put them in a safe location, and then I would definitely think about how you're going to strategize taking over this area. Now, what I would do, if it were me, is I would loot cycle this and then kind of build like a little outpost here. But, I mean, sometimes you don't have the mats, but fortunately, while you're loot cycling in these industrial buildings, there's a couple areas for planks. So, once you do your loot cycling, you can get your planks, you can get your nails from the industrial buildings, and then work your way through Cherno while kind of getting the mats for a tiny outpost while you loot up. Oh, shots fired. Ooh, there's a gun through here. But that in itself is what you do for loot cycling. Now, You have a couple other places that you can hit while you're in Cherno. Obviously the little town that I showed you with the water well. And there's a couple train stations um, right on the side here that you can basically go in each cart, take the loot out. If you want it, keep it. If not, put it on the tracks and then run basically, uh, you know, rinse and repeat. Take it out if you don't want it, leave it on the track. Boom. Now, you do have these two train stations with all this stuff. And then you also, if you see in the distance these industrial buildings on the left and right past that is a military camp. So you can go ahead and hit that up for, whatchamacallit, just like grenades, pistols, military clothing, um, ARs, if you're lucky, that'd be a rare spawn there. And then come back to the shipping crate area and basically loot again. So it's all about being consistent inside of DayZ, and it's all about being efficient with your loot and maximizing your carrying ability within DayZ. And that's pretty much loot cycling in a bubble. You know, if you guys have any questions when it comes to loot cycling, obviously let me know. But just remember in Cherno, there's 3 key areas you want to hit. Industrial buildings, the shipping crates, and the construction site as well. So remember that there is specific shipping crates for specific loot, and always make sure you're loot cycling in the beginning. That way you can get ahead of most of those other players. Now if you're seeing this in video form, make sure you guys drop a sub, follow, and like. And whoever's watching now, obviously you've heard this information before, but I kind of wanted to go over it again because I think it's very important for the DayZ community to know exactly what loot cycling